gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today doing my first 1080 Ti showdown with two non-reference 1080 Ti's. So we have in one corner the MSI Gaming X 1080 Ti, the 11G model, and in the other corner we have the Gigabyte Aorus Xtreme Edition GTX1080 Ti. So this one will be quite interesting. These cards, both of them are very popular models. So yeah, I thought I would chuck these two up together and see which one will come out on top. So let's first start with the GPU you get in them. So obviously they both have the same GPU, which has actually been around for a little while now. It's the 16 nanometer FinFET GP102 GPU with 3,584 CUDA cores, 224 texture units, and 88 ROPs. Now, more interestingly is the clock speeds. So I set both of these guys in its OC mode. What it says on the box doesn't really matter because both of these cards have GPU boost 3.0, which will mean that they will boost up higher than the rated speeds on the box. So this MSI Gaming X went all the way up to 1974 megahertz, which is pretty decent there. However, the Gigabyte went a bit higher. It went all the way up to 2025 megahertz. So that's pretty solid there, and I would expect that the vast majority of you will get, if you buy one of these cards, will see similar clock speeds in their OC mode. Maybe 10 or 20 megahertz in either direction, but I think for the most part, that's probably what you will see. So a bit of a clock speed increase there for the Aorus Xtreme Edition. However, the core clock speeds aren't everything. What about the memory? So both of these cards are coming with 11 gigabytes of GDDR5X memory on a 352-bit bus. Now the memory speeds are also different. In its OC mode, the MSI Gaming X will go up to 11.1 gigabits per second of memory speed, and the Aorus will go up to 11.4, so a bit of a difference there in memory speed also in favor of the Aorus Xtreme Edition. Now TDP wise, they're coming with a 250 watt TDP, and they both have thermal limits of 91 degrees, which remember that because we'll be talking about temps a bit later on. Now let's go over the coolers then. We'll start with the Aorus. So in my unboxing overview videos, obviously I go over the coolers and the features in much more detail than in this video. But in general, I call this one the Windforce Stacker because the middle fan is like recessed and the other two are sort of above it. So that's quite cool. There are two different models of this Aorus card. There's the non-Extreme Edition and of course the Extreme Edition. I talked about the differences in the unboxing and overview video, but you can easily tell by the backplate. They've completely different backplates, the two different cards, even though they're both Aorus, because Gigabyte's just loving to confuse people these days. But yeah, this is a huge cooler, massive heat sinks on this guy, a heap of features as you would expect, all the bells and whistles, and it's just a crazy card in terms of cooling. The MSI is no slouch either. You can see, guys, that both of these cards are absolutely huge, and the heat sinks on both of them are massive. Now, this is coming with their Torx fans. Both of these cards have their fan stop technology, so these fans will not be spinning up to about 60 degrees Celsius, and then they turn on. So that's really good. Also, they both have their copper direct touch on the GPU and loads of other features, upgraded components, and all of that good stuff. So both of these cards are extremely high end. There's so many features between these two, so you definitely need to go and watch those unboxing and overview videos if you want to know all about these two graphics cards. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the benchmarks then. So the Gigabyte Extreme Edition does have the advantage with a higher core speed and the higher memory speed. But of course, we'll just have to see how they do. Now, these cards are the same, so that will featuring the same GPU, so we're not going to see a huge variance. But just take these as an example of what you can expect if you were going to buy one of these extremely powerful graphics cards. we're back. So, as we expected, the Aorus came out on top by about 2 or 3 FPS. That's not even noticeable really, so I wouldn't let that influence your decision at all. It's what we would expect, but the MSI still did really good. But when we look at those benchmarks, we see these guys absolutely just destroy everything at 1080p. Wildlands is a bit crazy though. That is one hell of a benchmark in its ultra setting. These were all run on their highest presets as well. So yeah, but yeah, these cards are extremely powerful, and they should breeze through all 1080p games, well optimized ones that is. 1440p, especially high refresh rate 1440p, these would be absolutely excellent for, and 4K gaming, which is what I do, 4K 60Hz gaming, these were phenomenal as well. Very powerful graphics cards, and they do exceptionally well in all games. Now let's move over to something a bit more relevant, and that's temperatures. Now I asked you guys which one of these cards would have the better cooling, and it was pretty split. A lot of people were saying the MSI, others were saying the Aorus Xtreme Edition. So for this one, I ran it in Unigine Valley on the Extreme HD preset, ran the whole benchmark, and then took the highest temperature and the highest fan speed. So the MSI Gaming X went all the way up to 70 degrees Celsius at 51% fan speed. Very respectable there. And the Aorus Xtreme went to 72 degrees Celsius at 55% fan speed. So the MSI won. Not only did it have 2 degrees lower temperature, that was at a lower fan speed. So very impressive there out of the MSI Gaming X. Although to be fair, this was very close. But I have to hand it to it. The MSI does a good job. This is a huge cooler, and these are massive fans on this guy. So of course we would expect great cooling. But these guys both have a thermal limit of 91 degrees, so that gives you like 20 degrees of headroom on both of these graphics cards for crazy overclocking, so that's also very good. And of course you can run more aggressive fan curves, and that will help bring those temperatures down a bit also. However, temperatures aren't everything. What about noise? And noise wise, it's very hard to pick a winner out of these two graphics cards because they're both very good, and of course their fan speeds are also quite similar. So yeah, I couldn't really decide. They're both very good. You never really hear them much when you're gaming if you have the sound up, or especially if you're wearing headphones, so it's not an issue at all. But of course, I'll let you guys decide for yourselves. So this was the footage was taken at the exact same time in that Unigine Valley benchmark on the Extreme HD preset. First, I'll show you the MSI Gaming X, and then we'll check out the Aorus Xtreme Edition. So that should give you an idea of the noise from both of these graphics cards. Honestly, it's hard to say, and I don't think anybody out there would have any issues in terms of noise with either of these graphics cards, considering the performance that they are dishing out. So they both do very good in terms of noise. Which brings us now to the conclusion, and which one of these graphics cards do I think wins the showdown, and which one do I recommend? So this is probably the closest showdown I've ever done, because these cards are just so good. Both of them are absolutely excellent, and so it's very hard to say. Now price wise, over at Playtech right now, the MSI card is actually 50 New Zealand dollars more expensive than the Aorus Xtreme Edition. So which one do I really recommend? I can't really pick a winner in this one. It's just too close. However, I would say that you need to go and look through all of the features of these two graphics cards. Check out all of the features of this Aorus Xtreme Edition, and I do recommend the Xtreme Edition over the just normal Aorus model. You definitely want to pick up the Xtreme Edition. And check out all of the ones of the Gaming X also. Taking into consideration things like color and the lighting, I suppose, also, if you want. And then decide from there. Now, if you're a person that doesn't really care so much about all the different features, or maybe doesn't fully understand all of them, which is fine, I would just say just pick whichever one's cheaper. Honestly, if there's like $100 price difference between them where you live or whatever it is, I would just buy the cheaper one, because either way you're going to get an absolutely excellent graphics card. They're both going to be very good for overclocking, and you'll be very satisfied with the performance out of either of them. So that's basically how I have to round out this showdown, is just either buy it of which one has the features that you like the most, or just buy whichever one's cheaper, or both. It's very, very close, and both of these cards are very, very good. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, Tech Showdown, if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.